Hey guys, it's Confessions of a Doctorholic with Hassa Suleiman, and I've got Dr. Abeyna on air again.
So, what do you reckon was your biggest challenge?
So my biggest challenge is an ongoing thing. I would say the monetization. That's always been the biggest challenge, and it still is. Because when you're building a business, it's only a business if you make money from it. Let's put it that way. And I've never, it's been 6 years. I haven't taken a salary from Medic Footprints, but I do have other team members who are salaried, or which is great. Also, coming from medicine, I did not have a business mind, and I did not have a money focused mind. I had a very altruistic, it's fine, let them all come for free, blah blah blah. Obviously I've had to change that in order to keep Medic Footprints afloat, because when you're running anything, costs come with it, unless you have external funding, where it's really hard to keep it going. You need something to keep it going, and it's money. So you either have investors or external funding or a loan, or you're generating the money yourself. And it's better if the business is self-generating rather than getting external funding. Exactly.
Borrowing money. And
so I'd say that definitely was the biggest challenge. Another challenge was finding really good people to take on the business and move it forward. Again, that's another ongoing challenge. We have a really great team, like quite a small team, but very good team of doctors and non-medics. But again, it's like, I think one of the issues now is I'm looking to take a little bit of time out, because actually I'm due to have a baby. So
oh wow,
thank you.
Congratulations.
So I need to have a baby in the next few months, and in order to keep things going, you need someone else to help spearhead it. And again, this is one of the things that I learned along the way, because when I first started, it was basically us doing everything ourselves, and as well as full-time jobs, still in medicine. And that was very hard to balance. And over the years, I realized that, and I actually burnt out, I think within a few years, I actually did burn out. So I had to learn that I had to outsource, getting support for other things, identifying what can be outsourced and what I need to do, delegating, systematizing, all of the, like I say, it's the boring stuff. Because like with my personality, I'm a creator, I'm an entrepreneur, I like to develop things.
I feel that on a personal
then when it
level.
comes to actually sitting down with the nitty-gritty in the day-to-day, I don't want to know. So really luckily we've got like a doctor on our team who loves that stuff. He loves it. He absolutely revels in it, and it's really, really amazing. And it's great because we've got a diversity of skill set on the team. So that had been a challenge for me, but now we've got some. But we're still in the process of doing all of that stuff and using the right software and platforms. So yeah. So I'd say those are the main challenges. I think the business side of things. But sharing the story and reaching out to people are like the funnest part always, and learning about what other people are doing too. So.
That's so cool. Have you ever had an influence or like a mentor sort of thing happening, like someone that had a successful website?
Off, but nothing like that's been consistently formal. I mean, there've been loads of people who I've looked up to, and I was even on I kind of still am, but the NHS leadership. Sorry, no, I was on that NHS leadership, but also I was on the NHS Clinical Entrepreneur Scheme. I think I was on the first cohort for that. So that's
wow,
4 years ago now, probably maybe 5. And that was one of the first cohorts to encourage doctors to innovate and be entrepreneurs whilst continuing medicine, because traditionally, I may have mentioned earlier, if you want to do something different, you basically was like, you were given an ultimatum. You either had to choose that or medicine.
You had to leave
and doctors
medicine.
would like be clever and leave, and then they would come back later on and they develop this amazing medical device, and they'd have to sell it back to the NHS, and they were like, I could have done this as an employee, but you didn't allow me to do that, and now we could have saved a lot of money. But so the NHS Clinical Entrepreneur Scheme is great, and that's run by Tony Young, who's an amazing person. And I've just met loads of different people, a whole diversity, but I've never had one mentor, which would have been useful, definitely, to have one person, but I do feel like I've gotten the best of many people over the years. So yeah.
That's amazing. Have you noticed one that particularly stuck out to you, and who was it and why?
Oh gosh. I can't think of any one person particularly at this moment. I think because it's so difficult, particularly for women entrepreneurs, there's several different women I've met who you tend to be closer with because you're a woman. you're doing business, which is unusual, and like you're leading a business, and you know that in itself is like massive kudos. So women-led businesses and women who are running their own business, I've always had like a good eye for, and a complete respect for. And there's a whole number of them actually. Just trying to think one person. I honestly don't think there is one person I can think of right now, as in one specific person that actually stands out head and heels. I think you'll meet. I mean, for the entrepreneurs that are listening or potential, you'll meet a lot of people at different stages in their business journeys, and you'll find that it doesn't matter how big or how small or how much money they've raised, etc. Like they will all be learning in different ways, and they will all have something really useful to share with you in their experiences. I've learned over the years that like having a lot of money isn't necessarily better because it comes with its own challenges. Because back in the day, you hear about someone raising, well, you still hear this, like, someone's, finished their Series A or their Series B funding round, and you're like, I'm still really organic and we're just, earning our own money. But actually, that's great. You don't have to like sell off your business to someone or partially sell off your business. You've still got full autonomy and control. Whereas when you have raised a lot of money, there is a lot more pressure that does come with that, but you can do a lot more with it. So I think it really depends on what kind of lifestyle you want to lead when you're running a business. I think it's really important to think about that when anyone does start a business or gets involved at a very senior level in a business, because generally speaking, I continue, and I still am a practicing clinician, and I became a consultant,
which can't be
it's
easy.
not, but it really
That
complements
must be so tough.
What we do in Medic Footprints. And I'm now specialised in occupational health or occupational medicine, which again I didn't know about until I started looking for it. Also, doing Medic Footprints. It's an amazing career, but the fact is, like, the way I've chosen to work as a doctor in occupational medicine complements Medic Footprints. If I was still a surgeon and working at one hospital and doing on calls, I'd find it really, really difficult to do both. So similarly, if I decided I was going to, run a massive startup and raise a hell of a load of money, and, they would expect me to be working full time and a half on the business.
You mentioned that you're a doctor and you're doing Medic Footprints, and even before you had a full-time job when you were starting up the company. So what's a day in your life like? So like how busy are you?
So at the moment, I am, even though I have full autonomy over my week, Mondays is like generally Medic Footprints days. Tuesday, Wednesdays I'm in clinic. Thursdays is a mix of Medic Footprints and like life stuff. Fridays I'm usually in clinic. Saturday and Sunday I try and keep off. I mean, I used to work throughout, right? But you learn over time that's just not sustainable for everything else you want to do in your life. I think that's about it, really. Coming from the NHS, whereby your rota is like designed for you, I've had to learn how to be very diligent with my own kind of designed rota, whereby now I finish at 5. I don't work in the evenings like I used to work in the evenings. I try not to work on the weekends, and it's great because I feel like I can do that now because I'm not like having to work towards exams, or because I finished all of my training, my core training anyway. I'm like, well, so I'm a consultant now, and even that was kind of DIY towards the end. It actually was DIY. Like, again, it was like I was going down a pathway that not many doctors had gone down because they didn't know the option of it. Because when you're like training to become a consultant in X, Usually most people will go down this prescribed training pathway, where they don't know there's this other non-prescribed training pathway where you can just do it yourself and then submit all the evidence to your regulator, which is the GMC in the UK. And so I started with the training for occupational medicine, and then I finished off doing it myself. And that enabled me to have way more flexibility than I did before.
And back then, how did you balance everything? Because that couldn't have been easy when you had
I
like
don't know. I look back and I'm like, I was just like mega multitasking all
you're
the time.
a machine.
I was machining it. I was like on my phone all the time. I had just so much energy. I don't even know where it came from. And even I was like warned, because like every year we had an assessment on how we're getting on, and like I was getting on fine with my studies and stuff like that, my training. And they were like, yeah, but you seem to be doing like quite a lot. I'm like, what? This is nothing, kind of thing. I'll be fine. What are you talking about? And then I literally like 2 years later, I kind of burned out. And like, you know, they saw it coming. I did not, because I'd never experienced burnout. I didn't know what that was. So yeah, so now I look back and I'm like, I don't know how I was doing it. But, you know, it was good for that time. I think it's really important for people to be mindful that as you grow older, you will inevitably get tired at some point, especially if you're like working hardcore in medicine. But yeah, it's just important to be mindful of that when you're planning your life moving forward, especially like for women who in their 30s usually will start to like want to have a family and stuff. Even thinking about like the amount of stress that you take on every day in life and work, and how that might impact on your ability to have a family from a physiological perspective, is also something to think about too.
So that's wild, but I admire you so much. So if you could change anything, and you mentioned earlier that if you had all this knowledge now, you would have started Medic Footprints differently. So like, what's the major thing that you would have changed?
Well, I think it's just more like actually understanding what we were trying to do exactly, and what that would look like on a practical scale, and how that would be monetized. But to be honest, like as most people will know who's done a business plan, like business plans, they will change the minute you finish writing it, like that. But that's expected, because it's all theory, but it's not practice, and practice can be wildly different. So I say, I would change the way I'd actually approach doing it, but you know, it's through the learning and the times and everything that you then build the business or build the organization. So I guess I wouldn't change that. So to speak. I would definitely get help earlier to actually get things in place, because that's the thing, we didn't really get that much help, and it was all done by like 2 people, and one person at one point was just me. So yeah, definitely get a really good team together, and find the right person for your team. It's really hard. So if you're struggling, that's normal.
I mean, hindsight's 2020 as well. So
exactly.
And where do you see Medic Footprints going in the future?
Where do I see it going? So the objective is to grow Medic Footprints, so there is a hub in every major area or region of the world. We were actually doing face-to-face, say, networking events, and then it became more of an online thing, because from a capacity perspective, once the whole pandemic settled down, it'd be really great to go back to the face-to-faces. So basically I see it as a global community organization and marketplace for doctors, not just for looking for like other alternative options, but also to share what they're doing. So we've recently started a marketplace for doctors to promote what they're doing, whether it's a business or activity, and that's from free. We're setting up a forum. So we have a Facebook group, but we really want to get away from Facebook. Again, we're talking about wanting to be found online. So we're doing that, and also influencing all of the training boards in the UK and across the world to really rethink about how they can encourage doctors to become doctors, but also like continue with their own interests outside of that, because that inevitably will help their practice and their patients and make them happier, because we all want happy doctors looking after our population. So yeah, help doctors establish a balance in their lives and have some more sustainability in their careers.
I love it. So if you have a piece of advice for future doctors or medical students, what would it be?
I would say don't worry what anyone else thinks. Just do it. Don't feel like you have to be in a hurry when it comes to training, going to a training program. You know, you expect it to work for until the age of like 67 to 70, depending on where you are. So think about it on that level and take some time out. If you feel like you need some time out, take it.
All right. If we want to follow you and your journey or Medic Footprints, where can we do this?
Yeah, just go to medicfootprints.org. That is our main website. We're on all the major. We're not on TikTok or Snapchat. Those are the only ones we're not on. But
okay.
Yeah, so we do put stuff out. And you can always contact our team at medicfootprints.org, which is team@medicfootprints.org. So yeah,
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I've had an amazing time talking to you.
Too. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to your article on our website.